Today we're finally at Nakano Broadway again, the second year in a row, hoping to find some cool watches. I really wanted to try on the Wimbledon Datejust 36 with the fluted bezel and Jubilee bracelet. It's crazy how none of these stores that I've been to has had it available just yet. But I'm pretty sure I can find it here, although the price might not be the cheapest. Also, I'm still looking for an IWC Mark 16 Pilot that I really want to get hands on. I tried on the Mark 18 and the Mark 20 a couple days ago at Shibuya. They were pretty cool. I mean, the Mark 20 is definitely the nicer model, even though there were polished parts in the bracelet. It feels a little bit shinier. I'm not sure if that's what I wanted in the Pilot, but something about that watch just feels nicer than the 18. So let's see if I can find a 16 and collect my thoughts on which one I like the most. Quick tutorial to get to Nakano Broadway. Take the JC line from Shinjuku towards Nakano and head towards the north exit once you arrive. And ta-da! You are now here. Also, I've been quite into this model called the Cartier Roadster. From all the pictures that I've seen, it looks like it's a pretty big watch, specifically on the wrist. But the silhouette is so nice. It's like this tonneau case that reminds me of the Cartier Tortue. I want to try it on and see if it's actually as big as the pictures show it out to be, and maybe also add it to my list of watches to be acquired in the future. So in Nakano Broadway, there's this canopy, not fully enclosed section, and then there's the real Nakano Broadway behind that. I made the mistake last year of spending too much time out of the canopy area, not knowing the real goods are inside the second building. So today, I'm going deep straight to the second floor, and I'll make my way out slowly from there. First store on this floor is Kamekichi Nakano. It's the brand's flagship store and has an amazing selection of watches from every brand. The Black Bay 58 GMT is still holding up very strong on the secondary, which supports why I still haven't seen it yet in person despite being on the market for over a year and a half now. A few neo-vintage Tudors, home plate on the left and a very big block on the right. Check out the price on that Monte Carlo. More Prince Chronos to the right. Someone in the comments reminded me that next year will be Tudor's 100-year anniversary in that video where I talked about maybe not getting another Tudor. Imagine if they brought back this line for March. I wouldn't be surprised since they already have a modern mold made for the 79260 teased in 2023 for their only watch. Here are the Longines Legends Divers released fall of last year. I remember being in Japan too when they first came out. I really liked the terracotta dial, which isn't here today. Really stunning watches, and the prices have come down quite quickly too. I've picked out a NASA try on a couple watches, starting with this Breitling B01 Navi timer. This is a recent release with this specific example dated 2024. Black with white sub-dials and outer tracks, this is as classy as a Navi timer gets. As some of you might be familiar, I've always liked Breitling as a brand, and naturally, the Navi Timer 2 is one of their most iconic ranges. Size-wise, this particular model sits pretty snug on the wrist, with the lug-to-lug keeping within my 6.5-inch wrist. Reference of this model is AB013921-1B1A1. The height of this case is also contained at 13.6mm, which is just within the acceptable range for me. Something I really liked about this model is the refined bracelet. Every link looked to be really well finished. Display case back showing off the gorgeous B01 movement, splash resistant at 30 meters. Next is a watch I've only sparsely seen on Instagram until today. This is the Cartier Tortue, time only in platinum, reference W1532851. Low-key, if I was a foodie blogger, I'd be like, this is a watch I've been gatekeeping, but today I wanted to share it with you type of thing, but I'm glad to just be having the pleasure of getting this hands-on and sharing it with you guys on screen. When I first discovered the Tortue, it was actually through another model called the Tortue Mono Pusher. Super swanky name for possibly one of the most effortlessly elegant watches I've ever seen. Then I checked the price and was like, yep, I'm never getting that. But this time-only Tortue, it definitely comes a little closer. Certainly much more realistic, priced at under 30k Canadian. Still far, but closer. Also, I think this is my first time trying on a platinum watch. I actually didn't find it to weigh more than the usual steel or white gold, especially on the leather strap. Measuring it at approximately 34mm, I'm realizing it's so easy for me to fall in love with tornado cases. It's just something about them. The display case back also shows off the caliber 437MC without any reservations, which is one of Cartier's top shelf movements, part of the Collection Privée Cartier Paris. Yeah, I definitely butchered that. I know beggars can't be choosers, but the only thing I wish was different on this watch is the 30 meters of water resistance. But yeah, the price is definitely far and dear, but I'm glad to be having the privilege of trying this on the wrist today. Okay, I promised myself to keep an open mind and learn about the world of Cartiers. So here's a second Cartier watch of the day. The recently released Santos Medium reference WSSA 0065. Personally, I haven't warmed up to the Santos range just yet, but this one with the faded brown dial is definitely a treat. The Santos I've seen have all been the larger white or blue dials that have been a little too loud for my liking, especially with all the polished surfaces. This dial though, I find it to have a bit more aged charm despite being a model released in 2024. This is a terrible reference, but kinda looks like the tobacco buildup on the walls of like an old motel, but in a classy way, you know. Alright, next, around the corner is Renzu. Here I found the Pilot that evaded me back at Shibuya, the IWC Pilot Mark 16. This is the model with the same silhouette and finishing as the IW325517 that I'm currently chasing after. The only differences are the dial and the design on the caseback. It's difficult to compare without the Mark 18 and the 20 beside it. Minor details aside, it feels just as solid and handsome as the other two models. Smaller crown, thank God. Black date wheel, brushed links, matte black hands. The only similarity it has to the current Mark 20 is the 12369 stick indices. And here's a shameless mirror shot. This actually looks really good on the wrist. I still stand by the IWC Pilot being possibly top 3 watches for fresh grads as they start their first career jobs. This entire range is ages like fine wine, and the design and heritage really transcends the price. This is the recently introduced then discontinued Datejust 36 126234 fluted Jubilee with the leaf dial. I find the watch more of a phenomenon than a design that I really can appreciate. Of all the watches in the current Datejust range, I think this model is somewhat unique in that it has the lowest contrast between the white gold bezel and the dial. Like, I can't name any other Datejust that look more desaturated as this one. The premium is just as high as the Wimbledon though. I'm not a fan, so let's move on to a Cartier Tank. This is within the same range as the green model I tried on at Shibuya. This example features a jet black dial. The leather strap is new, so I wasn't able to try it on the wrist. This will probably suit me better than the green though, priced at just above 5,000 Canadian with tax exemption. The next shop, I really struggle to recall the name, but here's the Oyster Perpetual 39, released in 2015 with the gray dial. I'm not sure if it's the lighting or the lack of contrast on the watch, but in person, this actually looked pretty good on the wrist. The gray dial would be my pick of the range though. Next is the first Wimbledon that has touched my wrist. This is the 126200 in 36mm Wimbledon dial with smooth bezel on an Oyster bracelet. While this dial is in high demand, this specific configuration is, to put it bluntly, unloved. After trying it on though, I've came to a very important conclusion that Datejusts belong on Jubilee bracelets. Okay, let's head over next to Timezone. This shop has a very extensive selection of Grand Seikos, specifically this crisp green dial, the SBGW317. It's a very interesting color, a bit more vibrant than a matcha or a pistachio. You can already guess on the website though, the write-up probably says like, our expert craftsman was inspired by a peppermint ice cream. Unfortunately, I'd probably like that more than another reference about looking outside the window for the seasons or nature. An entire cabinet of older Seikos. All of these look to be in really good condition. Some of them have a bit of patina, but at this price point, it's hard not to be tempted to give them a try. This Seiko Lordmatic reminds me of something similar my grandpa used to wear. Let's over to the more modern stuff, starting with modern Pepsis. I've never kept up with secondary prices, but this feels really high. I'm almost sure these haven't been discontinued yet. Wow, okay, maybe it's just all the modern GMT masters then. It seems like the Sprite is the least popular of the 4 bezel inserts, or maybe it's because it's a left-hand drive. Over to a Coke GMT. Solid end links, Swiss style serif insert, dated 2004 on the paper. The label says that it's been polished, priced at under 20,000 Canadian. The shop also has a massive cabinet of Explorers. These older 39mm discontinued Explorers seem to now be highly appreciated, selling for a bit of premium. This one on the right has a blackout dial where the 3, 6, and 9 has no lume, made only between 2010 and 2016. Over to modern Explorer 36s, recognizable by the coronet below 6. All the applied indices are also slightly thicker on this reference than the previous generations. You can see it's also the most desirable on the market currently, given the price. Another GMT Master 2 Coke, this time an older example with a tritium dial, hollow end links, still serif insert, priced at 21,000 Canadian. And here's an interesting watch, the Domino's Oyster Perpetual 34. I could have sworn I saw these years back before COVID selling for much lower. Maybe my memory is failing me. But for you to buy this, you must really like Domino's pizza. Here is a cabinet of Submariners. Feel free to pause the video to zoom in on each. The 3 on the right are 14060s, while the 4 on the left are modern subs. A California Dial Tudor 34. I wonder if that 9 o'clock indice is where the Wimbledon got its inspiration from. And here's a Cartier tank in platinum. Reference WGTA 0303. I first found out about this watch on Twitter actually, and was really mesmerized by the dial. Try my best to catch it on camera here, but it's really something to behold in person. Over to a range of IWCs, 2 engineers to the left. It's funny thinking back that there was a time I really wanted this IW3239. And don't get me wrong, I still think it's an excellent watch, but maybe it's because of age, I feel like the angles are a bit too loud for my taste now. Maybe I was more fearless 5 or so years ago. Price fair at about 8,000 Canadian. And this is an IWC Yacht Club. Of all the vintage IWCs, this model range to me possesses the most character. The old pilots and engineers aside, of course. In Japan, these are priced very well too, and you can find them pretty often at just around 2,500 Canadian. Okay, here is the Wimbledon 36. Not the white gold bezel, but we're getting closer each time. Smooth bezel on Jubilee for this one. You can see with the bracelet, the price immediately went up by about 2,000 Canadian. That's the price to straight up buy a bracelet from the boutique, by the way, which I guess means people really value the Jubilee over the Oyster. Beside it, this is the correct configuration, but on the wrong metal. A rose gold two-tone, about 24,000 Canadian for the gold. Well, I'm definitely trying both of them on, starting with this two-tone. I feel like the rose gold conflicts with the rest of the watch. Like, the sunburst dial is trying to glisten while the bronzy, warm rose gold is toning it down. I do like the silhouette though, but I don't think the rose gold goes well on here. Maybe yellow gold might be even better. Well, trying on the smooth bezel on Jubilee next. I actually really like this. I haven't tried on the white gold fluted yet, but just looking at this, I imagine this is a more calm and slightly less flashy version with the coolest style in the Datejust collection. And of course, the Jubilee bracelet. This entire package just works so well for me. White gold bezel missing in action aside, the way the light hits each of the polished center links, it just looks so good. The size sits a touch smaller than my Oyster Perpetual, I feel, or maybe it's the same. Man, I really like this. This is singing to me just as much as the Hydronaut back in Shibuya, albeit at 5 times the price. This watch is literally dancing out of its dial. Also, there was a comment a few videos back saying that he can't get used to the 9 o'clock indice. To me, that is actually one of the highlights of the Wimbledon. I like it for the fact that it's off-center, not in like a 430 day wheel type of way, but a funky, like, you know it's deliberate but deliberately correct type of way. I don't know, the design just gets me so good. Well, Well guys, believe it or not, we're only halfway through Nakano Broadway right now. Now that I've found a Wimbledon dial on Jubilee, even if it's not on the white gold bezel, it would be hard to pick a more fitting place to end off this video, so we'll go into intermission now. Be sure to check back for part 2 next week. My foresight tells me that I might just find the watch I've been searching for all along.